Good evening, America. Welcome to Real Talk TV. As you can see, I have my new co-host with me tonight, Idle, and we have a new format. We're not going to be reading from any scripts anymore. You won't catch me hitting the teleprompter or any of that kind of stuff. We're just going to shoot straight from the hip. We're going to have a conversation. We have our topic as usual. Today we're talking about symbols, idols, flags, words, dirty words, all the things that offend people. Why does it offend people? We have different opinions, so we're going to play both sides of it. I'm going to play devil's advocate and try and pick whatever side he's not on and see if we can't get a good conversation going about it. There's lots to be said on both sides of every subject. There's always two sides to a story, and with some of them there's 5 or 6 sides. So we're gonna discuss it. Fair warning: at some point you are going to hear from my friend George. And anybody that doesn't like obscene language, you're not going to enjoy this show. So just to let you know right now, we're unchained, uncensored. We're going to have a conversation, and whatever we say is going to be the show. So let's start off with the Confederate flag. There's been a lot going on about the Confederate flag, and it seems like every day it's growing and growing and growing. I just got in an argument today on Facebook with I have to say fellow Marine, because I was a Marine. He showed a picture that he's a Marine, and I didn't like his comments at all. A lot of what he said was true. He made a good point about the people that are not standing behind the military, but he made a statement that disgusted me when he said that half of you aren't worth the blood we shed over there. Now, as a Marine, I find that a disgrace to the uniform. I was really pissed off about it, and I let him know it. Now, I come from a long line of service in the military. I served in the reserves during peacetime. I didn't see combat. That doesn't make me any less of a Marine than anybody else. I signed the paper. I was ready to go. So, I may not be a hero, but I served my country. And for him to say that any American citizen is not worth the blood being shed over there, I think he should take that uniform off and get the hell out of the Marine Corps, because he's not serving our country. He's serving individuals. And that's not what we're for. That's not what the military is about. He's supposed to be serving every one of us, whether he likes us or not. You insulted me, young man. I won't forget it. Now, on the Confederate flag, that's one of the things he was complaining most about. The fact that nobody's making a big stink over the Muslim that killed the soldiers over the past week, but we're still complaining about the Confederate flag and taking away from the Confederate heritage. Now, I'm from up north. I'm one of those people that see the Confederate flag and I think of the Confederate Army, slavery, and racism. Now, that's my opinion. There are a lot of people from the South that see it differently. Now, there are some people who stand behind the flag. There are some people that think it's part of our heritage, part of our history, and it needs to have its place in our history. I agree with that to most extent. I don't agree with it being in our public buildings, and we're going to talk a lot about that. But before we get to that, I want to hear from Idle on your view on the Confederate flag.
You can't have a gray area. I agree. It doesn't belong at government buildings, things of that nature. I think overall people are just too sensitive about too many damn things anyway.
That's why we're here today.
Why not just leave some things alone? Because we have to get into everything. They opened up a big can of worms by removing it and making it such a big deal. They really did. Because now you're going to bring in the separation of church and state, within God we trust, on federal money, all kinds of things like that. But there's also laws that haven't been addressed that were written years ago, and there's no reason to ever have them addressed. Like, there's many Confederate soldiers buried in federal military cemeteries. What are we going to do? Remove them?
That's a sensitive subject right there, isn't it?
Just recently, this week, they removed the image and did they remove the name? The name and the image of Robert E. Lee Middle School in Orange County, Florida. they really didn't go through due process in removing it. They just decided it was a good idea. Robert E. Lee is an American figure, regardless of what side he fought on. There's many others. I mean, there are countless things named after government or Confederate soldiers, Confederate leaders, Jefferson Davis, Robert E. Lee. It's going to be never ending.
Right, and a lot of these people, before they became Confederates, they were Americans, right? And did some things that put them into power as they became Confederates. They must have been some high up people already, well established.
Right.
And to totally wipe them out, I'm not jumping on a Confederate bandwagon by any means, but I think this is going way too far.
Was it okay for Washington and Jefferson to own slaves and for Jefferson to have a family?
And you talk about the big can of worms that we're opening. Now we're going way back to our, what do we call them? Our
founding father.
Founding father.
We're
right?
going to remove them from Mount Rushmore?
Right. How's that going to?
That's going to be hard to do. It's going to be a hassle.
If they do, I suggest replacing them with the Three Stooges plus.
That's a good idea. We can't erase history, and that's what they seem to want to do lately. We're gonna create a short amount of time in history, and then we're on a blackboard, and then we're gonna erase it, and then we're gonna start all over again. And before you know, I mean, kids today don't know history as it is.
No, and history hasn't been taught to them properly to begin with.
And they feel that it happened before I was born. Why should I know anything about it?
I used to feel that way. Now that we're looking into these different things, history does come into play. You have to look back at history to see where this came from in our Constitution and how does it apply to us now. So history is becoming relevant. Not only that, it's repeating itself. But to me, the issue of all of these statues and things that are being removed is going way too far. Like I said, I'm not a Confederate, so I'm not on that agenda. But you're changing history, like Idle said. How can you take something away from a community that they have paid for, probably voted to put up, paid for with their tax dollars, and you just can't. The bottom line is everybody's jumping on a bandwagon.
I would have felt differently about the Confederate flag years ago. I used to think that they're all Southern hillbillies, stupid Southern hillbillies.
I did too.
That's how I felt, especially when I lived in New York. That's how I viewed it.
Right.
Now I have a Confederate flag tattoo on my arm, and it has nothing to do with slavery or anything. It was a rebel flag. In the 80s, we used that, and probably before that, that was the symbol of being a rebel.
And that's why I said there's like 6 sides to this story, because it's not just a matter of Union, Confederate, not just a matter of whether it was the Confederate flag or the Tennessee battle flag, or this is on my, I posted that on the website, so any of you that want to read the story, originally the flag we're all complaining about was the Tennessee battle flag. It was later taken on as the Confederate battle flag and naval jack, which is how the two got combined. But the original Confederate flag had stars in a circle. Was not. That's one huge controversy that's happening now. The other one is the rebels, the people who symbolize it as the rebels. Now the idiot that owns the Dukes Hazzard car and is repainting it and putting the American flag on it because of this bullshit.
Oh, and TNT is not running the Dukes Hazzard anymore.
Right. Now, what the hell do they have with racism? Are you serious? I remember the show, and one of their best friends was a big black dude. I remember that. It was one of the few people they trusted. That is not a racist show. That's retarded. And knocking down all of these statues that we paid good money for absolutely no good reason, because one guy went and committed an atrocity and was seen in a picture holding a Confederate flag.
That's where it started from.
All of that because of one ignorant ass.
I probably shouldn't bring this up because I didn't do any research
please,
on it.
bring
but
it up.
I wonder if there's any standing statues of Malcolm X. I mean, we really can't say he was a Martin Luther King. He was a hate monger. He was
Well, from what I read, he started out Martin Luther like, and then he turned more aggressive as
Right.
he got on, which is why in a previous episode, I quoted his "by any means necessary"
Hmm.
and said this is the only time you'll hear me say that, and that was dealing with ISIS. But to me, when he brought that into the civil rights movement, he set it back because then he started bringing in if we have to fight violence with violence to get our rights, and that really set him back because the fact that they were protesting peacefully and the white people were acting badly
There is one.
it really looked good for him.
Is there?
There is one.
There is a Malcolm X statue.
There would have had to be.
Can you tell us where it's at, Lou?
Looking right now, and it says there's a bunch of different websites that it's on. It looks like it's a statue that they move around from exhibit to exhibit.
Oh, okay. That's a good idea.
But if you remember correctly in history too, King wanted to quit a number of times because everything he did seemed to end in violence, and he was just not proud of that at all. He
Right.
was ashamed of that.
And
And it's the same today.
one of the reasons he knew that he was going to end.
I mean,
too.
and nobody comes out and says it, but when there's a problem like in Ferguson or Baltimore, I still today can't remember 5,000 white people rioting and burning down their city. I mean, I'm going to get accused of being racist because I said that, but
say it. I got
every
your back.
single time there's something. That's their knee-jerk reaction on how to deal with everything.
Yes.
Fine, burn down your damn cities. You have to live there then.
I stated that in our show on racism, and something that proves it is Occupy Wall Street. Now, how many people were out there protesting Occupy Wall Street in tons of states? There were just thousands of people out there, more than thousands.
Yeah.
I have no idea. I really thought that we were on the move to a third party. That was my hope at the time.
Yeah.
But they didn't organize. But there was no violence.
Right.
There was no violence. There was nothing to gain by violence. And in all of these towns where the crowd gets out there and protests, they start out peacefully, and then it's usually the young guys. They take advantage of the fact that there's a big crowd, and they start smashing and grabbing, stealing TVs. You've just screwed up your entire protest.
It's an excuse to steal.
Yes. It's a license to steal. I personally would like to know where the next protest is going to be ahead of time, because I could use a new TV.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Absolutely.
if we got something going on, let's ditch in.
And who has to
I
pay for the
gotta
top
go
cars
shopping.
you blow up and turn over and the buildings you destroy? Who has to pay for that?
We do,
Right.
not the non-taxpayers that are on
Right.
welfare in those cities.
Right.
And that's not racist either, because Ferguson, check yourself out. You know I'm not lying. The fact that 80% of you are felons and can't get on the police force, you're also going to have a hard time finding jobs. So if somebody from Ferguson can tell me I'm wrong, give me some facts. Well, we got any more on the Confederate flag? I think we got more.
It's just gonna.
Can you think of anything out of here that you read that you want to add to that?
I mentioned the Orange County thing with the school, and I don't think it's going to end there because they're still discussing that. I think that's going to get worse. The American soldiers. I mean, you know, a lot of the Confederate soldiers were deemed, I believe it was 1957, were deemed to be American veterans.
To me, that's got to be hugely controversial.
I mean,
They were the enemy.
they were the enemy, and now they're considered American soldiers. I don't think there's an answer for this.
There really isn't, because they were Americans, right?
Yeah.
So like you said, that is a real touchy issue. How do you determine, like Lou and I have both said, the flag is the flag of the enemy. The Confederates were the enemy of the Union, but we're all Americans.
This is also something that
It's almost
It
civil
is-
disobedience. You know?
there's so many more important things to deal with than once again, I'm going to be racist again.
Dude.
We're catering to the blacks all the time. This offends the blacks. Slavery offends the blacks. Do we ever discuss how we got slaves? that the coastal countries of Africa were selling the slaves to the Spaniards, the English.
I believe I don't know if I mentioned it or not in the previous episode, but we weren't the first.
Right.
And there was some of those island
and they were
countries.
prisoners of war. The tribes would have wars.
Right.
They'd take the prisoners, from the wars, and they'd sell them into slavery. Their own
Yes.
people sold them into slavery, but that's not convenient to their cause, so they're never going to bring that up.
Well, and they're also not going to bring up the fact that it was several other countries that were selling these slaves, and not America interested in it in the first place.
Right. There was a demand, granted.
Not to mention, there's been slaves since biblical times.
But I bet you most blacks, as far as their history goes, they believe that Americans took ships, went over there, and went into the jungle and chased these people and shot them and captured them, and they have a total. They're completely wrong in their history.
Now, do you know a bit about that? About how they were rounded up?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay, let's take a quick break, and we're going to talk about that, and then we're going to delve into the church and state issue. So I want to hear about this because this is something I've been curious about for a long time. Who was the actual people that rounded up all of the slaves to be sold? Did their tribesmen do it, or like Idle said, did they send people running through the jungle with a hunting permit? So I want to hear about that. That's going to be real interesting. Stay tuned.
Welcome to the Bounty Hunt.
And we're back. So, when we left, we were talking about the slavery and who rounded up the slaves. This is something I've always wanted to hear about. Idle knows a little bit something about it, so let's listen.
I have a question first. We should run commercials in those breaks.
We do.
Really?
Yeah, right now
I want to run the the Viagra commercials with the older hot chicks. They're running Kelly Yu now. She's an actress. They got Kelly King. Remember her? She was the other brunette, really smoking hot. They should nickname her Viagra. I mean, we should run that one over and over again. If you had an ED problem and you watch that over and over again, I swear to God,
I have one and no, it's not going to work.
It would work.
Not for me.
Oh, it gotta work. I mean,
she could sit on my lap and it wouldn't work.
Oh, no way.
Dude, I'm dead from the waist down.
Holy
Anyways,
crap. I watched
that being
30-second
said.
commercial and then I got a tree. Okay.
Bragger. Anyways, we can do any type of. Eventually, we're gonna have a commercial for my
Hannah and her
what we
horse.
call
too.
a
Hannah and
business.
her horse. I love Hannah too.
You all know my name is Stitch, right? And those of you in Michigan know that I do embroidery. Eventually, I'll have a commercial. Right now, I don't know that I can handle the work, so that's why we haven't done it yet.
No.
But yes, that's why we take the breaks. We do have one commercial that we're still running from a previous show, and we're hoping to sell advertisement for the show. But other than that, we can fill in our own commercials with things that we want to advertise. So
we gotta
breaks-
find more
the breaks-
Kelly King commercials or something she stars in. And that works better than duct tape and the 2x4.
Well, let's take her picture and put our wording in.
I think we should start
We-
a Kelly King fan club.
Okay. Right now, we're going to start a Kelly King fan club. Poster pictures on Real Talk TV.
And Hannah and her horse.
Oh,
Like Hannah.
I will. Yeah, now we're talking.
Hannah.
Yes. That is one of the most beautiful women I have seen in a long
You
time.
think her horse is hung? No, that's too cheap.
We don't mind cheap.
That's
This is
even-
a low budget show.
It's
Cheap
even
jokes
bad
are fine.
for me. That's bad
But
for me.
no, yeah, she is one of the, and I'm at the point in my life now where I look at the face.
She
So,
has a face?
yo, a gorgeous face.
Oh, wow, I'm not even sure Kelly King had a face.
I saw her face and I saw her legs long before I ever noticed she had breasts. Okay.
I go to a Playboy convention.
We'll be talking
and
about
there's
breasts later, don't we?
headless women walking around, as far as I'm concerned.
They used to be. But I stopped thinking with the other head, and now all of a sudden I see faces.
And now I got to talk about slaves.
And
Oh,
some of them
man.
actually talk, too.
What a buzzkill this is going to be.
That mouth moving is just going. Rah, 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 rah. Okay.
All right, let's get the
get
slave
back
thing
to the
over with
slaves.
so we can get back to good stuff. All right. What happened was, how they obtained the slaves were the coastal tribes knew that there was a market, obviously, for slavery, and there were two primary ways of obtaining the slaves. They would go in to the inland countries, into the jungles, and they would capture them, and it was basically like a drive-through for the European ships. They'd come up, they'd say, we want this many, we want, and they'd supply them. They were also
Basically just selling them like cattle.
right, pretty much. And if those guys got off the ship and shot a lion, shot animals, they were charged for that. They weren't just allowed to do whatever they wanted. This was about money. This was bottom line. This was about trade, money.
Now that puts a whole new twist on slavery, doesn't it?
And the other way were, battling tribes. They had prisoners of war. They just didn't kill everybody all the time. The coastal tribes wanted prisoners of war because they were worth something to them. They didn't want to kill them. I mean, it used to be, in the old days, you didn't take prisoners. You if they were still alive, you finished them off. Not so once there was a market for slavery.
Well, and that started pretty early. I'm not a history buff by any means, but even back in the days of the Trojans or the Romans, the Spartans, they all took slaves. When they conquered the other guy, they took him as slaves. Now, the first black people I remember reading about in the history books or in novels and things like that were the Moors. Are you familiar with that tribe?
Familiar.
But they were supposedly a huge people, and they got taken over by the French and the English, and they took over the French and the English, and it went back and forth. And they took slaves just like the white people took slaves.
Life for
So
eternity has always been about survival of the fittest.
Yeah, slavery is not something Americans invented. So to hang it all on us, that's bullshit right there. Racism and slavery is
hundreds of, maybe even thousands of years. I mean, who built the pyramids? Slaves built the pyramids.
Slaves built pyramids, exactly. Back in the days of the Bible, it even says in the Bible how to treat your slaves. So,
and they, like Roots and most media that you see. Do you know that over 90% of slave owners and plantation owners were actually, besides that they were working for free, I understand that, they were basically kind to their slaves.
those aren't the ones you see on TV.
That's not what you see on TV.
Right.
You see them getting whipped and beaten and abused and for that matter, are African Americans, which they insist on being called, are they better off because their ancestors made sacrifices? Have you seen Africa today? It's not a whole hell of a lot better than it was 200 years ago.
That's another
They
point I
can still
brought
live
up.
there.
That's another point I brought up in that segment on racism, that if any of you feel that you want to go back home, just put a GoFundMe account online, and I'm sure a racist will buy you a one-way
They're
ticket.
American citizens. They benefited from their ancestors' suffering.
Yes, and I don't care what they want to say. Yes, there are beautiful parts of Africa, and if you go there and visit, they will spit on you because they don't like black
Yeah.
Americans. But for the most part, the people living in the places that your ancestors came from are still in poverty. They came from Nigeria. They're under attack by Boko Haram. It's not a nice place to live, most of it. If you have money, it's like anywhere else. If you can live where the rich people live, I hear there's some really beautiful places to go visit in Africa. But if you're not from that part, then I don't think
It
you
was
want to
also
go
give
home.
and take too. For those that weren't separated from a family that maybe didn't have anything there,
Right?
they actually benefited from being slaves in America than being free in Africa. It was hard. It was a hard life
And still
living
is.
there. Yeah, it still is.
Still
But
is.
it was a hard life.
Yes.
They had
No food stamps.
nope. They had housing. They had food. It's not like you see on on all these slave movies and
True.
shows, and you had a much better chance of having at least a halfway decent life in 1850s South than you did in anywhere, almost anywhere in Africa.
You know, I can't prove this, but I'm gonna throw a guy up there. I'm pretty sure that Jimmy Carter, one of the nicest guys in the world, I'm pretty sure his ancestors had slaves. He's got a big peanut plantation.
Right, I believe they were.
So somewhere down the line, depending on when he got there, chances are he had, his ancestors had slaves. And if they're anything like he is, I'm pretty sure his slaves got treated pretty well. And I know Jimmy himself today does everything he can for everybody in the world.
Yeah.
You know, what a swell guy.
I believe a former slave invented peanut butter.
Might have worked for Jimmy.
George Washington Carver invented peanut butter.
George Washington.
Yeah, George Washington Carver. He was either
I
the
do remember that.
immediate ancestor of slaves, or he was a former slave. I don't remember my history. That's 30 years ago.
And I'm not a history buff either, but weren't they normally a name like George Washington Carver? Doesn't that mean he was owned by George Washington?
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily?
No, they chose whatever names.
Oh, okay. I thought they got given the surname or whatever.
Well, they were
their
normally.
owners.
They were normally, but when they chose names, I mean,
I get you.
their intelligence, their ability. I don't want to say intelligence. Their education,
Education,
limited.
better way to put it.
Yeah, limited what words they could write, what words they knew.
I get you.
It was much easier to pick a color, a leader. That's why you have a lot of Jackson, Washington,
Right.
Black, Brown.
I always thought that was
yeah.
because they had a lot of slaves.
White. Yeah, well, there was a pattern to that too.
Right.
But when they changed their names, or when they, some of them still went by African names. The immediate slaves, not the ones that were born here, the
Right.
immediate slaves, they had to pick. They wanted to pick American names, and that was all they knew. Or the plantation owner. Some of them would pick plantation owner names. But I'm just saying, there were many that had good relationships with their owners.
See, and you never hear about
No,
that.
you never
Nobody
hear
ever
about
talks
that.
about that. There won't be a TV series about it.
No, there's never going to be. And many of them, when the war was over, a lot of the plantation owners, knowing they were going to go broke because they were losing their workforce, they weren't geared towards paying people. They were geared towards free labor and making a lot of money. Once it became law, they were free, they let them go. Some were invited to stay. A lot of them chose to stay.
Isn't that where sharecropping came in?
I believe so. But they chose. They had a chance to leave, and they chose to stay
Yeah. That you don't hear about either.
because they were treated pretty decent.
Pretty decent, yeah. And if you're being treated pretty decent, there's no sense in going somewhere where you might be treated a lot worse.
Right.
And there's safety and it's security and.
If this were a live show and people would call in, they would hear half of what I was saying and pick on, slavery's ugly. Anything like that is ugly.
I agree.
That they would pick on the fact, I'd be a racist, I'd be, all kinds of things.
Well, hey, this is the show. We're going to get called
Right.
a lot of things. Okay.
Right.
We're getting ready to pick on the Christians.
They don't
I'm a
understand
Christian,
the times.
He's an atheist, and
They
we're
just
gonna
don't
have fun with
understand
that.
the times. You have to be sympathetic to the times. Even like Jefferson and Washington, that was the norm. They didn't think anything of it. They're trying to take 2015 and put it back to 1850. There were many variables. There was nothing wrong with it then. There was nothing morally wrong with it then. There is now. There wasn't then.
Well, that here again we come in conflict because I'm a Christian, and according to the Christian book, once you realize something is wrong, it's a sin.
I agree. But
So
see,
until you realize it's wrong, it's not wrong, right?
Yeah, but I understand
morally
that.
the same thing, right?
Right.
Once you understand that, hey, something's wrong with what I'm doing.
But why would you
need
figure?
to change
Why
it.
would you say that's wrong when nobody around you is saying it's wrong. Because it's the norm.
Right.
It
takes somebody to be a little enlightened.
It's like with Christ. I didn't believe in anything. I didn't believe in God. I didn't believe in anything. But yet I was afraid. Not that I was going to be struck down. I was afraid that I was told that bad things were going to happen to me. I was afraid to say anything.
Right.
Even my parents told me, yes, you got to go to church, you got to do this. When you're a kid, you're not going to turn around and say, well, there is no God, so he can't strike me down. Because when you're a kid, you always have that fear. You always have maybe the doubt.
Right.
What if I'm wrong?
What if I'm wrong, right?
I mean, you get a little pain in your chest. Oh my God, it's God. He's going to kill me. You know. I'm going to put holy water on, and I'm going to explode.
Right, yes.
Sizzle away.
Yeah. There were times I thought when I walked into the church it was going to collapse. Yeah. But on that, let's get with the church and state separation. Now, we're talking about taking the Confederate flags and all of these Confederate statues out of our government buildings. Well, if we're going to do that, then the church symbols have to go too. What's fair is fair. They're symbols. And some of them are idols. I'm going to get into that in a minute, and a lot of you are going to be really pissed off.
Idols or mine?
Not this idol. He's an idol of mine, but idolatry. Let's put it that way.
There we go.
Idolatry. Okay, now, there's no reason in the world that the Confederate flag belongs in our Capitol building.
I'll even agree with that.
There's no reason in the world that the Ten Commandments belongs in our Capitol building. A statue of Jesus. I'm even going to go ahead and agree with the folks that want to get rid of the nativity scene in front of the courthouse. Okay, if it's a problem, let's do away with it. It doesn't belong in our government buildings. We have a clear separation of church and state in our Constitution. Let's do that, separate that. Let's appease all of the non-Christians, because we may still be a majority here in this country, but there's a lot of non-Christians here.
Which has gone, the amount of people that believed now that believed 30 years ago is astonishing how it's dropped.
And with education, different ideas and theories, the Big Bang Theory, the evolutionary theory, and all these other things being taught, it's giving people more doubt. Now, people like me hang on to it because
it's a way of thinking too.
More
scientific minds don't believe in God.
It's a lifestyle to me.
But it's a way of thinking too. If you have a scientific mind, you're probably not going to believe in God. You're probably going to be an atheist.
Well, I definitely don't have a scientific mind, but I find a way. That's a cuckoo.
It's the way you think.
I can tie the Big Bang Theory, evolution, and Christianity all together. Anybody wants to hear it, we'll do a show on it one day. But that'll be a lot of fun. But before we take a break, I want to get into this business with the church. Okay, I'm a Christian. I got one big problem. The fellow on the cross at the front of the church is not Jesus. If anybody thinks he was a pale-skinned, blue-eyed guy, you're wrong. Now, Moses came down from the mountain, and they smashed the idols because God said, we will not pray to idols. Now, if you want to put a picture of if you want to put this cross up there, that's a symbol. But when you put a man on there, that's no different than the statues that we're talking about taking down for the Confederates. Now, that is not what Jesus looked like. Nobody knows what Jesus looks like. And if you're praying to him, you're praying to an idol, and that is incorrect.
But people are just going to, as far as the church and state though, they're going to say that this country was built on Christianity. I don't know if it was built on Christianity. I believe that almost everybody was a Christian in those days. As far as being built on Christianity, it was built on freedoms. I don't know that it was built on freedoms,
not built on Christianity.
Right.
There was a lot of Christianity involved, but we had atheists involved
because
in the signing of the
99% of the world
didn't they?
believed in some supreme being.
What, wasn't there atheists that signed the Constitution?
I believe so. I believe there's at least one.
I think there's more than that. Somebody mentioned it to me. I'm going to look it up before I go any further.
I've heard it too, but I don't know who.
Okay. But so there, not everybody that was involved in the writing of our Constitution and the building of this country was a Christian. And even at that, you had the division between the Catholics and the Protestants. Then you had the Mormons. Then you had the Amish, and now we have the Muslims. What other
Right.
religions do we got that I'm missing?
There's
Buddhists.
so many.
You know, there's so many different religions, and then there's the agnostics and the
There's
atheists.
Southern Baptists that fly a Confederate flag over their church by the cross.
Yeah, that
I
seems,
don't know. They should.
seems a little weird.
Just
but,
to piss people off.
no,
I
that
do
I'll go with that.
I do a lot of things just to piss people off, even if I don't feel that way. I
Have
enjoy
Jesus holding it.
it. Yeah, there we go.
Okay. Now, then we get two symbols at once. To me, all that crap's got to leave the government buildings, and anything you want to do on your personal property, you have those personal rights. Nobody's trying to take those from you. I've had some fights on Facebook with people saying, somebody
Well,
trying to come take my gun. Nobody wants your damn gun.
They are trying to remove some visible Confederate flags on private property, though.
Who is?
I know there's an outcry from a lot of people, but
I don't care about an outcry.
no,
I'm talking about laws.
they are going through legal channels to try to remove in several areas of the country. I just heard about it the other day too. They're trying to. There was one in particular, and I can't remember the details, that started, and then I noticed they're doing it in other places too, because it's visible, but it's on private property, and they're trying to get it removed.
No, that's not right, people. That's not right. I don't care if you agree with the flag or not. You got to stick with us on this and fight that.
And stealing out of the back of people's trucks.
That-
I've seen many videos of that and off people's
Yeah.
porches, and that's illegal. Just because you think you're justified in doing it,
And I hope he takes the video and prosecutes.
I hope so too.
You know,
They damaged that one guy's truck
Right.
because they just didn't take his flag. They felt the need to throw bottles and shit
Yeah.
at him too.
now, everybody that watched the show knows how I feel about the asshole that did what he did in South Carolina. But one turd with a Confederate flag shouldn't have caused all this ruckus. Now, Confederate flag's been around for a long time. We've all got our own feelings about it, but it hasn't caused any riots and it hasn't caused all this problem. Now, all of a sudden, it's a big, huge problem.
Well, part of me says, you think it's a real good idea. You realize you want to make a point, you want to stand up for things, but do you really think this guy in the truck drove into what was clearly a black neighborhood? That's
Kinda
pretty
got what he
stupid.
deserved
I mean,
it,
it's
and-
like
yeah.
my neighbors having the freaking New England Patriots on their
Might
van.
as well
You
have
know,
been flipping him off on his way by, right?
well, if they didn't want their van egged, they should have taken the
Right.
Patriot shit
Yes.
off there.
Yes. Yeah. You have to be use a little common sense, folks.
And if your name is Brady, change it.
It's a good idea. We're going to take a quick break. We're going to be back with a lot more. We got a lot more to talk about, and a lot more people to pick on, or symbols to pick
Symbols to pick on, no people.
on.
If we start picking on people, we'd be at this for the next 300 years.
We're at the midpoint, so I think now would be a great time to bring on our special guest. What do you think, Lou?
Let's run some Viagra commercials with Kelly King.
Do you think it's time for words? Are we ready for words?
I think so.
Are you ready for words? Ladies and gentlemen, George Carlin. And we're back. How did you like that, my good buddy George? Shit, piss, fuck, cunt, cocksucker, motherfucker, and tits. Tits doesn't even belong on the list.
You kind of remind me of him a little bit.
I've heard that. Even the voice a little bit.
Now that you bring it up, yeah. Kind of remind me of him.
If I was just as funny as he is, I'd be making money.
No, looks aren't everything.
I have the perfect face for radio. Now we're on TV.
Yeah,
I'm
those are
screwing
oldies.
up the ratings. But anyways, we're going to talk about all these words and why they offend people. Now, let's just start from the top.
You know, this is like giving a robot a blowjob, you know? Just saying. Okay, just something
That's going to be another website now that you mentioned it.
just popped into my head.
Lou, get the copyright on that. All right.
The robot dick. Now I'm afraid to hit on it.
I don't blame you. I'll save that story for another time. The old glass dick. Anyways, we're going to talk about these dirty words. Why do they offend people? Shit. I think that one might even be legal now on the air.
They do say that. The show Defiance, they have a alien word for shit basically, and they use it all the time. but it's clearly what it is. It's close, but it's not the same. They say it all the time. You ever watch Defiance?
No,
No,
I don't watch much TV.
No, it's
Every
cool.
time I turn it on, my box isn't working.
But I've heard the word shit on
Damn
many
you,
shows,
Bright House.
especially cable, sci-fi, stuff like that. I hear it all the time. I think you say a lot now.
There is a lot more.
I
Yeah,
wish you
they've
could-
loosened it up quite a bit.
But I want they need to be able to show boobs and stuff.
Well, cable networks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but I don't get any premium channels, so
Oh, you got to pay a little extra for boobs, man.
they're free on the internet.
But the internet isn't free. Anywhere you go, you're paying for these. Boobs.
Nothing's free.
Nothing's free, even the ones you got at home. Anyways, back to the word shit.
Those are the most expensive.
You got that. You pay for them every day. Oh, man. And sometimes for years later. That being said, the word shit is a very simple word. We all do it. It's used in a lot of ways.
Many of us are full of it.
I'm full of it constantly. I have a lot of pain because of it. It's used to explain a lot of different things. George spelled it out. Just I can't say it any better than George, really, can I?
You got away with words.
George does have a way with
Sarcastic
words.
humor.
I love him, and hopefully we're going to use a lot of them. I don't think he'll come back from the graves and sue us, but he's probably looking up at us smiling. He'd love that if he heard that. That was out of one of his last bits. The word shit, it just shouldn't be offensive. I can see why you don't want your kids saying it, even at that. Is it any worse than I done a doo-doo, a poo-poo, or shit? You know, it's a fart with lumps, as George says. And why are we offended by it? It's a natural bodily function. That one's kind of simple. Can you think of any reason why that's really offensive?
I can't think of any reason why any words are really offensive
I
unless
can't
you
either.
let them be offensive.
Well, and as George said, it's not the words that are offensive, it's the intent put behind the words. I'm assuming this is the full version we got and talked about at the end. The word kill and the word fuck. Which is worse?
I would imagine fuck is going to be more offensive to more people.
But, which is more violent?
Yeah, I believe kill is far worse word by definition.
Right. And like George says, okay, if you take all the Western movies and remove the word kill and replace it with the word fuck, you've got some pretty funny shows. Okay, Sheriff, we're gonna fuck you now, but we're gonna fuck you slow. And that's good shit right there. And it's used as a derogatory remark, fuck you. Or it's used as a sexual term, I wanna fuck. Any of those, like George says, it's the hard K. Okay, cunt, fuck, those two words seem to be most offensive in the language, and cock too it's not on the list. That's the double entendre word. That's a different episode. We'll do that another day. But the way you mean it, if you're saying fuck you, I'm gonna kill you, that's a bad word. But if you're in bed with your lady and you say, oh, I really want to fuck you now, is that so bad? Is that so offensive? I don't think so. I'd rather hear that than hear about I want to kill somebody. You know, it's a lot less violent. And then let's see, piss. That's another bodily function. And the other term it's used for is when you're angry. I like that word. I get pissed off a lot. I've been trying not to use it on the show. Today, that
It's better than
stops.
the word mad. I'm mad. It gets your point across better. I'm pissed.
Exactly.
I'm not mad.
Yeah, it's an excessive mad. I am not just mad. I'm not just angry. I am pissed. So, I don't see any reason why we shouldn't use that word. Mommy, I gotta go wee wee. Mommy, I gotta go doo doo.
Some of the words they use in their
Take a
replacement,
piss, kid. Take a piss.
They just don't get the point across when they
Right.
when it's a a primetime show and they make up for words that just aren't right. I mean,
Yeah.
you big meanie, you hurt my feelings.
Right. Yeah, it just
You
doesn't
big,
fit.
You big poopy head. That it just doesn't work.
Let's face it. In society, when when you're not in front of a camera, when you're not in front of your church friends, I'm not saying everybody. I know people that don't swear a lot, and they don't use those words. But for the most part, the rest of us talk like, Navy sailors.
You know, when I say God damn it, I don't mean to offend any Christians when I say that. It's habit. I've heard it my whole life.
Perfect example. This is an atheist. He doesn't believe in God,
Yeah,
and he's using it
don't
in
mean
a curse
anything
word, right?
other than it's just
Other than
something
he's
I've
pissed.
always heard, and I'm pissed.
Right. So, why are we being offended by that? It's time we get rid of that. Shit, piss, fuck, cunt. That's a pretty tough one. Got a relative right now who's not talking to me because I called her that.
Yeah, you save that word for the women that you really don't like because they hate that.
Yes.
That's like the
Well,
equivalent to
I don't
nigger.
save it for the. I don't save it for the women. No, I know a lot of men that are cunts.
Women hate it.
They all hate it.
That's the nigger word to women.
I soften it up and put an S in front of it and call them a skunt because they're usually stupid along with it.
Yeah, that's true.
So that does soften it a little bit. Do you agree? I like it better.
Lately, everybody's stupid.
That's on Stitch's vocabulary list. For anybody who doesn't know me well, you're going to learn a new vocabulary from me. I have a lot of my own words.
I can't go out of the house. People are driving me so crazy.
I can't go home because people driving me crazy.
You gotta meet my dad. I meet stupid. Oh my god.
Well, that I'm not going to say it. I
I'm
have a lot of family that meets that criteria. So
I'm so adopted. I'm telling you, I am adopted.
my brother swore he was adopted for about 18 years of his life, but he can't deny it anymore. He's got the nose and the hairline.
This is somebody who brings me a smartphone and pulls up the keyboard, the numbers, and he asked me, how do I make a call? You press the phone number in. So he does that, and he's looking at it, doing this. It's not ringing. There's no dial tone. It's not ringing.
Press the green button.
See where it says call, the green button? So what do you think he does when the call ends? How do I hang up? See the red button that says end call? Give that one a shot.
Sorry, Mom, I'm snitching on you. I have the same issue at home. It don't matter whether it's the smartphone or her Facebook. She can't tell the difference between when somebody sends her a Facebook message and it comes in her email that she's got a message. She clicks on that and she thinks she's still an email. So she responds thinking she's making a private conversation and it's on Facebook.
Wow.
It's causing problems.
My dad doesn't even know how to turn on the computer, so we don't have that problem that you're having because he doesn't know how to turn the damn thing on. And he brags about it. Why not just go, I'm a fucking idiot?
My dad always used to say you can sit quietly and let people think you're stupid or open your mouth and prove it.
Of course he gets away with not doing anything either because nobody thinks he can.
Oh, hey, don't. Not that. I'm working on that one myself.
Yeah, I do that all the time.
Yeah, I'm working on that one myself. My disabilities are finally starting to pay off.
I hand stuff to my wife all the time. I can't figure this out. Plus, I really want to watch the TV program that's on. I don't want to mess with my phone.
You get away with that?
Oh, yeah.
Seriously?
She's just...
I couldn't get away with that.
I don't really get away with it. I think she knows. She's just too nice.
Okay. There's nobody in my family. Well, no. I'm sorry. I can hand them my cell phone and say, I don't know how to do this.
I'm just
but
playing
anything
on,
else, they come to me.
I'm just playing on her good heart, and she has this need to help everybody. And so I sort of take advantage of that, but
shame on you.
it's the worst things I could do. I'm
You
loyal.
reciprocate, right?
I'm faithful.
You're loyal.
Yeah.
As long as you do things to make her happy, that's all that matters.
Well,
Yeah.
I cook, clean, do laundry, I iron, I do housework. I mean, I do every womanly chore ever invented. I can't sew. It's the only thing I can't do. I can't sew.
It's a good thing you're not single. We'd be getting calls right
Can't
now.
have babies either. I'm fixed.
That's a bonus too. This is a cheap date. If he ever gets divorced, ladies,
Don't need
Don't
need
count
condoms. Don't need condoms.
don't need condoms and it'll clean your house.
Yeah, and I don't
Cook you breakfast in the morning.
I don't sleep around, so no diseases.
Oh yeah. Only had one wife.
Yeah.
One
Since-
lover.
yeah.
Biblical marriage. Biblical marriage. The atheist has a biblical marriage.
How about that? I'm more Christian than most people.
I've said that on my post. Yeah, my son too. He's agnostic, and the two of you live a more Christian lifestyle than most of the people I've met at church. Because a lot of them go home and beat their wives and do bad things.
Yeah, the
and,
felon is a good boy.
Yeah, it's surprising that a lot of us that have made mistakes and are looked down upon in our lives actually are nicer people than.
You don't even have to make mistakes. You just have to
Than
get
the
blamed for them.
ladies up there that are looking down on us.
Just
people
get
making the
blamed
laws.
for stuff.
Yeah, right. I can't.
You're
I
in the
have
wrong
to take
place at
credit
the wrong
for all
time.
mine. Nobody got me in trouble. I'm my own worst enemy. But let's see, what do we got left? Shit, this cocksucker. It was in there. That is a
Sounds like giving a rooster a blowjob.
yeah. We were talking about cock earlier, and that one you can't really be offended by. There's so many ways to use it, and we were joking around about a rooster and somebody getting in trouble for a rooster, and I said, if you go to
Me
court,
and
I
my
want to
big-
defend you.
Me and my big cock.
Yes, I want to ask the judge, is it illegal for people in Spring Hill to have a cock? I really want to ask that. I mean,
No, I want to be there when that happens.
right, I'll do the 30 days for contempt of court. It'd be worth it because I would repeat it over and over. Are you certain it's against the law to own a cock? But anyways, okay, that being said,
I can't
cocksucker.
wait to see what your mother has to say about that.
Well, I've already warned her about the show tonight, so, and she says, oh, I love George Carlin. I can't believe that.
You should start Robot Sucker.
Yeah, right. Robot Sucker. That's going to be our next show. Well, maybe we'll do a cartoon.
We need to work on catchphrases, see if they go around the internet. We can
Oh yeah.
be
Well,
responsible for new catchphrases, new words.
we've already got one. Skunk.
Skunk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Skunk. We'll start with skunk. Let's throw out another one. Peterson.
Peters, what?
Peterson.
Peterson.
If you ever want to boycott a place, you go to a place, you get shitty service. You never go in there again. Peterson, that bitch. Now that's my son's in-laws, and that's the way they do it. They get bad service one time, they're never going back. So my son and I have coined the phrase Peterson. Add it to the list. I like it. Okay, cocksucker is kind of hard to get around. It's can't think of a way it could be used on a family show, but I definitely don't see why it should be banned from late night television. There's definitely a lot of cocksuckers on TV, and a shitload of them up in Washington. In fact, I think they ought to change that word to lobbyist. They're a bunch of cocksuckers.
They're the worst.
Yeah. Okay, so cocksucker and tits. As we said, tits doesn't even belong on the list. It's a friendly sounding word. Sounds like a nickname. Hey tits, me tits, 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 tits. Sounds like a snack. New Nabisco tits. Got cheese tits, tater tits, corn tits.
Plus we
Bet
got
you
the
can't
logo.
eat just one. No, I usually switch up. I know I'm repeating everything George
One of my
said.
favorite things in the world.
Who hates tits? How can tits be offensive?
Yeah, I don't see how that's even possible.
No. The fact that,
Unless they're on Joyce, it can't be offensive.
well, I don't know if I was offended or too busy laughing to be offended by the breast on Bill Cosby on the post with him on Vanity Fair where they had him dressed up like a drag queen. I thought that was awesome. Fuck you, Cosby. I'm with what's his name, Larry Wilmore. I'm not forgetting about you, Cosby.
I saw one this morning with little Trudy, the youngest.
Yes,
Yeah.
Rudy.
Yeah, Rudy said those. It said the N word, nigga. Those better be Skittles you got there.
Speaking of the word nigger, I was told by my mother, don't dare say that. But if George made this list today, he would have to add that
He
word.
would. That's the worst. As far as I'm concerned, I believe that most people feel that's the worst word you can speak.
In today's society, it is. Now, I tried to find an old dictionary printed before the 70s when they changed it. But I said it in another show, the original definition of the word was low-life scumbag. It had nothing to do with black people. Now, possibly, as you were saying about the names earlier, maybe they weren't able to read the dictionary, so they took it as a term that was meant for them, because almost everybody's ancestors at some point, the French, the Italians, they were all called niggers when they got off the boat.
Yeah.
You know, if you didn't have money, you were a nigger. And, okay, here I've said it, nigger, 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 nigger. Now, if anybody's offended by that, don't act like a nigger.
Everybody's offended by everything lately, especially.
It is.
God, grow a pair.
We have become too offended by too little. And there are so many other things that are so much more important. We're going to take a real short break. I think we've covered the dirty words as much as we need to for today. But fair warning, from now on, I was calling everybody a turd, which was combing down what I wanted to say. I'm not going to do it anymore. We're free-flowing now, no script, so I'm going to call it like I see it. If I can't hold back an asshole or a cocksucker, you're going to hear it. I'm sorry if you're offended by it. You know where the volume and the mute button is. You know how to do it. We're going to take a quick break, then we're going to come back, and we're going to discuss what we really should be talking about. Why all this bull crap is interfering with reality. Okay? We'll see you in a minute. So I hope you enjoyed the last segment. Of course, George did most of the work. He explained it better than we ever could. We'll be using a lot of Carlin, I hope. He's one of my favorite comedians, and he says it best. Nobody says it better than George. We have another clip that we played that was also very entertaining, and I hope you guys enjoyed it and that nobody was so offended that they're going to stop watching the show. If you are that narrow-minded that you can't hear a few obscene words, then this is not going to be the show for you, because we're going to talk about whatever the hell we want to talk about from this point on. And I'm not going to worry about who I offend, and we're just going to get the point across. We have a point to make. We're going to make our point. You can agree with it. You can disagree with it. You can post on our page. Feel free. I don't care if you're agreeing with me or disagreeing with me. I will answer your post. I will debate you at anything you want to do. We're going to get the phone lines back up eventually, and we'll be able to do some call-ins, even though the show is pre-recorded. If you contact me on Facebook, we will set it up and we will put you on. I am not going to keep other people's opinions away from the show. This is not all about me. This is about us. This is real talk, real America, for real people. Okay? So now that we're done talking about all these asinine things that the media is making important. I said that in another show about the racism. The media is the one that is perpetuating all of this bullshit about the Confederate flag, about the racism. They're igniting the fire. And I said it before and I'm going to say it again. They're diverting our attention from something. We don't know what it is yet, but there's something going on that they don't want us paying attention to. A lot of it has to do with votes going on in our Senate. I've seen some posts. The budgets have come out. That's a good thing to keep us from looking at. They'd rather have us complaining about the Confederate flag than looking up what they vetoed in the budget. One post I got this morning was Wisconsin does what every state does, stole money from education, and is using it to build a stadium.
Buck Stadium, right?
No, it's in Wisconsin.
Yeah,
Oh,
Milwaukee
I'm
Bucks.
sorry.
Yeah, Milwaukee Bucks.
Is that their college?
No, it's
It's College
basketball.
Stadium. I don't know. I didn't care. I don't like Wisconsin. Governor Walker. who's
Sorry,
second-
Gene. Sorry, Gene.
Cheeseheads. Anyways, if you are from Wisconsin, sorry, Gene, get damn Governor Walker out of there. Get your unions back. You know, put your state back in order. You guys need to start fighting for your rights.
By the way, don't want to piss off Gene. She scares the crap out of me.
Well, as long as she stays in Wisconsin. we're
No,
all right.
she might be moving down here to the Keys.
We love you, Gene.
We're gonna stop by your house.
Go
I
Green
got his
Bay.
address. I'll bring you over there.
I'm a Packers fan. Okay, that being said, Walker, he's number 2 on the Republican list. He's also number 2 on the turd list. I think they got it in the right order right now. Trump first, Walker second. I don't know how Bush got third. In my opinion, he's the front runner of the Republicans.
Trump's becoming my freaking hero.
Well, I mean, there's no end of humor to watch with him. I mean, it's entertaining. But anybody that thinks he'd make a good diplomat is retarded.
I like
That's
Celebrity- I
politically
like Celebrity
incorrect. But
Apprentice,
he's
too,
you're
though.
retarded.
I watch Celebrity Apprentice every week.
Do you? I couldn't stand that show.
I loved it.
He just annoys the hell out of me. He's too arrogant, too pompous, and I hope he picks a good vice president if he gets elected. That's all I'm gonna say.
If I had his money, you'd all be talking about me too.
Right? Yeah. Well, if we could talk some shit about some different races, and maybe we can get popular.
Well,
What?
you know, some of the things he says, he's just very blunt and very vulgar. But there's some points to what he says. I mean, we can't continue to be the melting pot. We can't let everybody into this country. We don't have the resources
True.
to continue to let everybody in. And they said today, I heard on the news today, there's 350,000 illegal aliens with felony convictions committing crimes in this country. That's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sympathetic because I pretty much grew up in a Mexican family. I'm sympathetic to them. It's just, you know, it's a lesser of two evils with some things. You just can't let people in anymore. I get it. I get it. They're trying to find a better life, but we just can't continue to do it.
Well, there's no question that that's true. But the way he's going about it is all wrong. The way he's presenting himself is great for a pep rally.
Right.
You can get the people fired up. Everybody loves to hear a strong president. Everybody wants somebody that's going to be tough, you know. And he sounds like that.
I'm surprised he hasn't said we should turn the Middle East into the glass desert yet, 'cause that's coming.
He's come close. He's already said fuck Iraq.
Well, there's some truth and reality to even saying something like that.
But yes, but you don't say it that way.
Right, you don't say it that way.
And that's my point. Trump's got a lot of good ideas.
We can say it that way.
Yeah, we can say it that way, but you can't say it as
Right.
president of the United States. And you can't pick a president of the United States that's going to run his mouth like that. We're going to be in World War III in a heartbeat.
Yeah, it's true.
You know, people hate us now because of Americans like him. Those are the type of Americans that go around to other countries because they have the money to travel, and that's what the people see, and that's how they form their opinion on Americans. Now, I get why you like what he's saying, but be realistic.
I think people are just sick of the same old politics and the same old crap
Yeah,
and the
we're
same
ready
old
for
shit
a
not
change.
getting done.
No, I
and he's
agree.
basically coming across as, I'm not screwing around. We're not screwing around with the Mexicans. We're not screwing around with the Middle East. We're not screwing around with anybody. And that reminds
That would have
people.
been a much nicer way to say it.
But that reminds people of like World War II. We're Americans. We're gonna kick your ass.
Yes.
We're gonna put a boot up your ass.
Exactly. No, it's definitely a dead zone for diplomacy. There's no way in hell he could be a good president for us. Maybe make him something in financial affairs. Put him in charge of real estate. You know, I mean, that's something he's good at. Just like you remember the corrupt list I read a few weeks ago. All the people that were on that list worked for the government, changed laws, and then went for the companies that they benefited.
The one thing about Trump though is he'll go after something and he won't change his mind.
No, but don't you think while he's in office, he won't rig things for real estate?
I'm sure, well, everybody's gonna.
Don't you think corporations are going to benefit even more than they are today?
No,
And we're
absolutely.
going to pay the price?
I don't know if we're going to pay the price. I think we're going to
Somebody's
make up
gotta.
for it in a lot of other ways if he gets things done. The problem is he's not going to be able to get things done. I'd rather not. So many politicians flip flop. Like Hillary flip flopped on something recently. I forgot what it was. They're puppets. I'd rather have somebody
Puppets
not
to
a
the lobbyists, yes,
not
right.
a puppet.
It would be nice.
Just don't change because that's going to get you votes. You stick by, what you believe in. If people don't like, they won't vote for you.
Well, of course, the primaries are coming up, so we're going to be talking a lot about politics, and I got a lot of ideas for political reform.
I'm just tired of pussies. I'm so tired of people being pussies.
Yes. Well, and that, okay, this comes with the politically correct bullshit that we're talking about. Go ahead. Tell us about how we are pussifying our nation.
Oh, we're a bunch of candy asses. Everybody's a pacifist these days. You have to fight. You can't have the attitude where there are people who believe that we can sit down at a table with ISIS and work things out.
Yeah, right.
There are people that believe that. People who have never been in a fight before and don't have a clue how to win a fight.
Right.
I mean, I was a boxer.
Donald Trump is the best at the military. His quote, sorry, put it in there.
Because he's going to win.
He said that. He said it.
Well, it's
it doesn't even sound right.
we're
Best at the
sensitive
military.
about words. We're sensitive about flags. We can't kill women and children in a war zone, going after people who are trying to annihilate the entire country.
And the people we're trying to kill there, they don't mind killing those same people.
Yeah, exactly. But we're not going to do it.
Right.
You win a fight because you're willing to go further
I agree.
than your opponent, than your enemy. In any fight, from a street fight to a war, you have to be willing to go further.
Yes.
We are not going to win any war fighting the way we do because we're worried about doing this wrong and doing that
and
wrong.
it getting put in the paper.
Right.
Yes, it's going to get publicized that we killed a civilian and we're
Right.
going to be bad people.
It's like having a conversation, even with friends these days. Everybody has their buttons. I get that, but having a conversation with friends these days, you have to worry about what you say.
Yeah.
A good friend, Rudy, my best friend growing up, he used to call me Honky. I used to call him Beaner. We used to joke with his parents, his sister Letty. They'd call her Little Bean. She'd just call me, Honky or something. Nobody was offended. I have friends.
Well, remember when we were young, there was Dagos, Polacks,
Yeah,
Swaps?
absolutely, especially in New York.
Yeah.
I mean, my God, that's how we spoke about everybody.
Exactly.
I-
We're all designated by our ethnicity.
I have this friend, Carla. I call her my big sister. I'm 20 days older than she is. I call her my big sister. I can call her a dumbass. I can call her, and I get involved in her relationships, and tell her outright, I think you're a bum magnet. You've been dating this guy. He's an idiot. Because he's wearing a Red Sox hat of all things. And he's a Patriots
Right.
fan. I mean, what's the good thing about dating a Patriots fan? They don't care if you cheat. I tried telling her that, but she doesn't listen.
Did you tell her it would deflate eventually?
I did. She didn't listen. Now she's dating a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. Great guy. If she doesn't stick with him, I might go after him. But I can say anything to her. She doesn't get offended.
Can he play running back?
I can play whatever you
No,
want.
I said, can he play
Oh,
running
can
back?
he play running back?
Yeah.
I guess.
Because if he can, he's a keeper. We know they need one, right?
But I can say anything to her, and she's not gonna get offended. Who we just talked about, Jean, too. Yeah, I'm saying she scares the crap out of me. You can say anything to her. She's not gonna get offended.
Well, it used to be that way with the general public. Now you can only be that way around your friends.
Mm-hmm.
Only your friends know when you're joking. Only your friends can take it. But if you go out in public and you say the same thing to your friend, somebody at another table gets offended.
None of their damn business.
Right,
Just
mind your
shut
own
up and
freaking
stay out
business.
of it.
Exactly. That's another thing. We're way too much in everybody's business. Here's something, I don't know if I'm going to do a whole show about it, but I definitely am going to bitch about it on another show. The media's right to know. Fuck you. You ain't got no right to know. Okay? I just read another article in the paper where somebody disclosed military secrets under the condition of anonymity because the investigation is still going on. Then you shouldn't be talking about it. Why do we have a right to know when you're going to bomb ISIS? You don't think they get our internet feeds? And come on, this is stupid.
Yeah, they think they have the right to know everything. That bugs the crap out of me too.
They don't need to know. We don't need to know.
They're
Tell
not
us
going to find out.
afterwards.
If they tell us, they're not going to find out. What kind of magic internet are they playing on? I mean,
yeah, unless you're in North Korea, you're going to get the internet feed. I'm sorry, they're well hooked up. And if they're not, they got a guy here in the United States that'll share it to them, and email it to them. So
it's fascinating what people believe. It fascinates me. Some people that went through the same schools that I did, and some of the things that come out of their mouths, if they could see my face reading Facebook, astonished.
yes, I've been the same way.
I've actually asked people because I'm not afraid to say or do anything really. I have one other friend, John Misitano. He's the same way. He's really not afraid to say something or post anything. But I mean, some of the people I'm close to, I don't say, "What is wrong with you? Are you an idiot?" I want to, but
I don't say that, but I start my comment with, seriously?
I do that too.
Question.
Really? Seriously? Something like that.
Yeah. I did
It's
one.
amazing
I
what
did
they
one
believe.
today, and started it out with seriously, and ended it with, "I'll pray for you." I'm going to go ahead and say the whole thing. Bottom line, this person, it's a friend of my mother's that we're friends on Facebook, and I doubt she's going to watch the show, so she probably won't be any more pissed off at me than she already is. She was a Ben Carson fan, Dr. Ben Carson. She was rooting for Dr. Ben Carson. Today she posted Donald Trump, and I said, seriously? You're dropping Dr. Ben for Trump? I'll pray for you. So, that's what I had to say about that. Now, I got a lot of friends on Facebook that have gotten my seriously comments, and really, seriously? Sharon, come on, that hateful one that you shared today. You seen me blow up the guy that wrote it, right? I didn't say anything to you. It wasn't your fault. You didn't make the post, but you did share it. And wow, that's the one I was talking about earlier. Really ticked me off. Gotta be read what you're sharing, please. Don't share things that say God hates, because I'll jump all over you.
You gotta wonder if people ever read things back to themselves, because I'm reading some of the stuff going, that doesn't even make any sense.
Right.
I don't get it.
And nobody uses spell check.
Right. Oh my God. Some of the things.
The people that do the most ranting and raving don't use spell check.
And
I'm a pretty good speller, but I still have to use spell
Use
check.
punctuation.
Oh yeah, and capital letters, punctuation. Yeah, that's a pet peeve of mine. If you're gonna rant and rave about how smart you are, spell it right.
Gets me too. Some of these people. Everybody on the internet is a genius. Just ask them.
Yes. Yes. I mentioned to Double Cross, I don't know if he mentioned it to you, a possibility for a sideshow, Mensa for Dummies.
That'd be a good one.
I think we could bring a lot of common sense out into that.
Yeah. Oh, bring that up.
Maybe we'll do a 30-minute episode after this show sometime.
Go take the Mensa IQ test, pass it, and then tell everybody on your Facebook that you're in Mensa. You want to lose friends? Go do that.
I've probably raised some eyebrows just saying that I now qualify.
Oh, it'll be an endless discussion, and you'll
He
lose
thinks
friends.
he's so smart.
Yeah, you'll get that all the
Yeah.
time.
Well, I don't think I'm going to lose any, because most people know that I have such a low self-esteem that the idea that I should have been smart pisses me off.
Oh, if I try to talk about anything serious on Facebook, there are a number of people, not just Colleen, who likes to talk about boobies, but there are other people that get pissed at me because let's talk about something lighthearted. Let's be funny. I don't want to talk about serious stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm very one-dimensional, and
Right.
that's all I want to do.
Yeah, my son tells me every conversation turns to politics or religion.
I love to
they
joke
come
around.
up a lot.
I just got to be in the right mood to be entertaining. I can't just do it.
No, me either.
And I'm going to talk about stuff that's on my mind, because if I think people are being completely stupid, I got to say something. My head's going to explode.
Good. That's we're like-minded people in that aspect. This the reason I'm doing this show. Be honest with you. Those of you who don't know, I started out as a co-host on another show called Blunt Talk. That show ended. Before it ended, I had the idea to do this show. I wanted to talk about more than just legalization of marijuana. So I pitched it to Lou. He jumped on it, and here we are. And we've been growing the production end of it ever since. It's been getting better and better every week, I think. Our viewers are going up, so it can't be that bad. And now with the Idol here, I expect our viewership to double within the next month. I would be honest with you, because it's just so much better. Anybody that saw me by myself knows this is a lot more fun, right? I gave you some good information, and that's what the show was worth. That's what I was trying to do. Now we can try and bring you some information and some entertainment, and hopefully that's what we're accomplishing.
There's some real cheap ways we can increase viewership, too. I know some real cheap ways. Look at my friends list. Look at some of the girls I went to school with. We could print up their pictures, just hold them up. We'll double viewership.
I'm not opposed to that. I really not.
We got one,
You know what I mean?
Chris Mosier looks just like Stevie Nicks. Totally hot. Jill Stazak, my first love in 4th grade ever. She's still smoking.
Well, there's a lot of them going around, and yeah, I wouldn't have any problem getting some pictures of some ladies myself, with their permission. Oh, I just lost a train of thought. I need a brain fart. Back up.
God's answer to erectile dysfunction. Some of the girls I went to school with.
Oh, thank you. You just got me back to paying. Well, what the thought was.
I gotta just start throwing stuff out.
I need this guy. You mentioned the cheap ways to build our posts, and I was going to say, I only want to build them if they're going to watch and be an addition to the show. I don't want any phony viewerships or post boosting. I'm not into that. But here's, for those of you who have not seen the post, please check my site. I posted a thing about a super PAC. I want one. We're going to look into it. We're going to try and get one. We're going to promote the crap out of it. I want everybody on board. If you don't want to share, if you don't want to give, at least share the post and give us some opportunity. We're going to try and do something good with this money. Those of you who know what a super PAC is, you know that I don't have to tell you who gave me money, how much they gave me, or what I do with it. But we're gonna, if we make enough, if we bring in enough to do something important, we're gonna do it. And that's my goal. I don't care if it's putting a homeless vet in a house, starting a petition for a ballot initiative. We're gonna do something. When the money starts rolling in and we've got enough to do something, I will post options on the page for you to vote on. And whatever gets the most votes is what we'll do. So this is going to be an us thing. Okay? No guarantees. This is something we're working on. Something that I hope for the future. Stephen Colbert started it. A couple of high school kids found out that it's really possible. So we're looking into it. And we're going to use it for something positive. And it's going to be something that the majority of you like. So keep in touch. Send your ideas in for shows. Do we have an idea of what we want to go with next week? Do you have any ideas?
No, I got so many ideas. I can't even think of one.
Okay, then I'm going to go with what I had originally planned. Next week, we're going to go with addiction and mental disorders. There's a lot of things going on out there. A lot of people. We already had a show on PTSD. That's a big one. I have issues. Idol's got some issues. Lou's got some issues. A lot of, I don't think I know anybody that doesn't have issues. They're just not dealing with them. I'm the only one of the three of us who's on meds for my issues, so that's going to be something we discuss. The benefits of using medication.
Like Cialis and Viagra.
yes,
And the women that do their commercials.
and how that helps your depression. And we're going to be talking about, the need to go and get your mental health checked if you're having problems. This is a big issue that's going to touch a lot of people's lives. I hope everybody will tune in for this show. I'm going to tell you all my shit. It's going to be. I've already done it once on the Blunt Talk show. I'm going to tell you all about my past addiction, the problems I went through, the reasons I became addicted, or at least I think I became addicted. What I think is wrong with the NA program, and again, we're going controversial. I'm going to tell you what I think is needed to straighten it out, and we're going to have an open discussion about it. So anybody that's got any info they want on that show, let me know between now and next Wednesday, and we'll get it on. Other than that, you're going to hear what we've got to say, and that'll be it. Please start contributing. I'm starting to get some posts on the Real Talk page. We're working on a website. We're going to get things as good as we can get them. We're working hard on here. This is a labor of love for us right now. Nobody's making any money. We're doing this because it makes us feel good to get our opinions out. And if we can help anybody out there, then we're doing a great job. Just the fact that people are still watching tells me that something is right with what we're talking
Plus,
about.
I want to be famous.
He wants to be famous, so I'm going to let him have that. I don't want to be famous. Otherwise, I'd be running for political office right now. They're already stealing my ideas. I meant to mention that earlier. Jeb Bush stole my idea. He said that we should start paying Congress only when they show up. I said that on another show, didn't I, Lou? No, he left out the senators because his buddy Marco Rubio is a senator, and he skipped 80% of the votes. He'd be on food stamps. Now, I like that idea. Jeb may be bringing me back. I'm a Hillary fan right now, but I'm a total independent. I can go either way. I'm going to listen to the debates, and whoever wins me, wins me. So we'll talk about that as the politician season heats up. Next week, we're going to talk about alcoholism, drug addiction, mental illness, and how they all fit together, and what people are
Priapism,
doing
we're going to
about
talk
it.
about priapism.
What's that?
We're going to talk about priapism.
Priapism.
I can't get off the side effects of the Cialis and the Viagra.
Okay.
Priapism is an erection that lasts 4 hours and longer.
Okay.
My
See,
favorite affliction, by the way.
he went over my head.
Well, and
That's not going to happen too often.
Comedians have
Hey,
stolen
damn.
that from me, too, by the
Really?
way. Yeah, I was the first one to come up with, I have an erection lasts 4 hours, I'm not going to the hospital, I'm calling my friends.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. You know what they do to take care of that? Take a big needle.
Oh, really?
No, take a big needle and drain the blood out.
Mm.
It's so scary.
I heard the old adage, the way when they used to try and stick a catheter in you and you got a stiffy, the nurse would hit it with a pencil. Oh, that's bad enough. I don't even want to think about sticking a needle in that damn thing. But yes, we'll talk about that too. Anything you guys want to get on the air, hit me up. We're going to talk about everything. I've got a fellow named Wayne who's been hitting me up. We're going to talk about some medical issues too. And we're going to
Like
get into
private.
legalities. The legalities of medical malpractice, different issues like that. I've got some subjects that I would have liked to have sued on. So we got a lot to talk
Oh,
about.
hell yeah.
As you can hear, we have no shortage for words between us, and there's been no prompter, there's been nothing read, no more articles. When I have my articles, I'm going to post them on the page. So if you want to know the facts, if you doubt anything we're saying, read the page. The facts are there. I back up everything I say. And if you disagree with me, call me on it. Be glad to hear from you. So we're going to wrap it up for tonight. I think we've gone over as usual, and I love that. I'd rather give you more time than short time. Thank you for sticking with us. Please share the link with your friends. Like us on Facebook. I haven't had to ask people to like me since I got divorced.
Please like us. We have no friends.
Oh, like me. Like me on Facebook. Tweet, hashtag Stitch, hashtag Idol, hashtag Stitch and Idol, hashtag Real Talk TV, hashtag Kennedy Studios. Make sure you hashtag Kennedy Studios because that's what's responsible for this show. Okay, we got to promo Kennedy Studios more than we're doing. Lewis Kennedy, he's the production manager. He's the guy that does all these graphics, all our sound effects, everything that's going on. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for Lou. So anybody that
He's your dad?
no, but he's my dude dad. He's bringing new life into an old body. Okay, my friends and family that know about my depression know that I haven't been this lively in a long time. So thank you all. You're doing that for me, and I'm going to keep trying to do it for you. So until next week, it's Idle, Stitch, and Lou. Good night, America.
Take care, everybody.